about nutrition things. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nina Silic, nutrition and lifestyle coach, and today we're going to be talking about how to prevent stress eating. Stress eating, I feel, has become even more common at the moment with quarantine and everything else going on and all these changes in life. I've seen it with all my clients. I've experienced it at times myself, and I feel like across the board, more and more people are either emotionally eating or stress eating, and those two are kind of really linked together. So that's why I feel this topic is really important to address right now, because life is always going to happen when it comes to nutrition, lifestyle. Life always gets in the way, and that's where so many of you prevent or postpone wanting to start any kind of nutrition goals or fitness goals or health goals because you're waiting for life to be perfect. But let me tell you right now, life is always going to happen. So instead, we need to use certain tools to help us through those stressful moments or those stressful times and periods of consuming more food than we should be because of high stress or our emotions. So let's go through some steps that are going to help you prevent overeating in relation to any stressful times. So I get it. I've done the stress eating before. I've seen it happen over and over again with other people where you just mindlessly eat and overeat, or you turn to food for comfort and you turn to all those delicious snacks. And before you know it, you start on a few Oreos or cookies or whatever the case may be, and you've eaten the whole family pack of double stuffed Oreos. Can confirm I have done that in the past. And then afterwards, you just get filled and consumed with all this guilt because you've overeaten. Then you feel guilty. Then you feel like you need to do copious amounts of exercise to compensate, or severely restrict calories the next day or the next week to compensate. And that's not great for your mental health either. So let's go through some steps that are going to help you prevent the stress eating in the first place, so you can keep more of a balance within your nutrition, in your lifestyle. So the first thing you need to do is check in with yourself. So what do I mean by this? When you are going to eat, or you're turning to those treats, or you feel like you're really hungry almost and just want to keep eating, you need to just check in with yourself for a second and ask yourself, why am I eating this? What are my feelings right now? Am I actually hungry? Is that why I want to eat this food? Or am I feeling really heightened and stressed in this moment? Am I feeling anxious? Did something happen this week, or did something happen today that's making me turn to this type of food? Are you just bored, or are you feeling lonely? What are those feelings that are actually stirring up inside you to make you want to eat right now? So when you've got the food in front of you, before you dive into it, just take a second to be present and recognize what your feelings and emotions are in that moment. Just by taking that second to recognize those feelings can help you really prevent you diving into the food and just eating because of stress. And it can also then help you recognize that that's the time to put some other actions into place to prevent you from going into those foods and just going face first. And right now I'm seeing like double stuffed Oreos in front of me, so I'm like, you can put some actions in place to stop you from continuing with that overeating moment. Now, something that I need to point out is that I'm going to give you these tools right now that you can use. However, if you are somebody that is constantly overeating and you really find that you're not in control, and you're continuously doing this no matter what actions you take, then it's at that point you need to recognize that you may need to seek some professional help, because there might be some deeper rooted issues going on that you need to address. Okay, so now that we recognize those feelings and emotions, what are some actions we can put in place to help stop us from turning to that food straight away? So I want you to write a list of all the things you could do instead of turning to food. And when you recognize those feelings, you're going to go down that list one by one and go through them before you actually turn to that food. So for example, it could be you might choose to go for a walk, just get moving, get some endorphins going, or get some exercise happening. You might choose to call a friend to talk about it. You know, you might have someone close to you that knows that this is what you're going through, so you might call them and just talk it out and talk with them. And talk through your emotions with them and let them know how stressed you're feeling and why. You might choose to do something relaxing like take a bubble bath or read a book. Whatever it is that you find relaxing and that can take your mind off that food, you can implement that instead. And more often than not, you'll find that those other actions will help you forget about wanting to overeat in that moment. The next thing we need to do is remove temptation. So we can go through steps 1 and 2. However, if you have a cupboard full of cookies, sweets, treats, Oreos, whatever your temptation may be, if it's right in front of you, it's going to be really, really difficult to resist that, because we all only have so much willpower, and especially when you're stressed or feeling emotional, that willpower just drops right down. So if something's constantly in front of you, or if I've got cookies out on the counter or chocolate behind me, like it's scattered everywhere, it's within my visual reach all the time, I'm gonna be more tempted to go for that. Whereas if I either just don't bring it into the house, so I don't have any foods that are gonna trigger me, or I just put it into a hard to reach spot, maybe somewhere in the bedroom or on a high shelf, and have more healthy options in front of me, like a fruit bowl or something like that, then I'm gonna be less tempted to wanna turn to those higher calorie dense foods or less nutritious foods when I'm feeling stressed or emotional. The next thing you can do is maintain a healthy and steady meal schedule. So choose how many meals you're gonna be having per day, whatever is realistic for you. That might be 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, 4 or 5 meals. Whatever is gonna work for you is just fine. But make sure you're eating meals consistently throughout the day that contain protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and nutritious foods that are gonna keep you nice and full and satisfied, that will help prevent you from wanting to snack constantly or just completely overindulging in other foods, because those meals are already going to keep you nice and full and nourished. So you're probably going to have less room in your stomach for all those extra treats to overindulge on, especially if you're feeling stressed and emotional. And a meal schedule is going to also prevent you from continuously just snacking all day, and that's not going to fill you up anyway, those snacks. And then you're going to be more likely to turn to those unhealthy, really calorie dense treats, and it's going to most likely trigger you to overeat as well. And the final tip is don't restrict yourself. So it's really important to have a balance with food variety and food choices, and not deprive yourself of certain foods you love. Because let me tell you, if I say to you, hey, you cannot eat cookies for the next month at all, no cookies, no other sweets and treats, what are you gonna think about that entire time? You're just gonna want the cookie, like now, like the Cookie Monster. And you're gonna really be consumed by the thought of wanting to eat those cookies. And then when you get to those cookies, you're gonna eat the whole packet because you're gonna feel like that's the only moment you have to eat these cookies, or I'm stressed, I just need the cookies. Whereas if I say to you, hey, you can have 2 to 3 cookies every single night of the week, or a treat every single night of the week, on top of the other nourishing foods that you're eating, then you're gonna be less likely to crave those foods or feel like you're deprived of those foods and turn to them. So if I say to you, hey, no food is off limits for you, that's where flexible dieting comes into place and tracking macros, because no food really is off limits, but if you just need to hit a certain amount of calories, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, with all the foods that you have available to you, you can make a more balanced approach to your diet. And that way you're not gonna feel restricted or deprived. So in feelings of high stress or emotion, you're not going to wanna overeat on just those certain specific foods.
Put that cookie down, now!
Just have a cookie. So remember, we all have stressful times in our lives. That's so normal to happen. But there are those things you can put in place to stop you from overeating in response to stress. So I hope you guys found these tips helpful. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. And if you're experiencing any stress eating yourself, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, maybe what you're going through or how you've dealt with it. And then until next time, put down the cookie. I don't know.